Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow, and welcome to my 5Q interview series. And today I get to interview Kat Valadez, and she's been practicing yoga since 2005, teaching since 2012, and we'll get into how she came from the student pathway into becoming a teacher. Can't wait to hear that story. And she draws her teachings from a variety of styles in the lineage of her teachers, which stretches all the way back to Yoga Works from 2000, and the best qualities of Ashtanga, Iyengar, biomechanics, Yin Yoga, and mindfulness of all the spaces in her class that can guide students through a practice. As we all know, it's mind, body, spirit, right? So that interconnection. And she makes sure that her classes are safe, accessible, and integrative. Though trained in traditional yoga practices and those methodologies, her teachings remain fresh and always in step with new scientific understandings of anatomy, stretching, and biomechanics. And so here we are, right? We're in this technological space and time. And so we have this ancient practice, and now we get to combine it with what's happening and what's relevant right now as we're all watching these screens and the technology. And it's important that we merge those worlds together, right? And so Kat is best known to students and fellow teachers as a relatable and fun-loving yoga educator. And some has nicknamed her the professor. I like that. Teaching with clear, detailed cues to empower students with healthy movement patterns. Kat's teaching particularly focuses on cultivating strength, stability, and self-compassion rather than pushing the body into exaggerated ranges of motion just for show, or that hashtag Instagram pose, right? Everyone's seen those before. Or the posture perfection, right? We don't need to have that perfection. It's all about, finding where we can feel comfortable in our bodies, right? Find our edge. In her classes, you can expect to mindfully move through an intelligent sequence intended to create space and balance in the mind, body, and heart. Kat's ultimate mission is to help people personalize and embody their yoga practice so they can find ease and strength in their body to then show up with greater happiness and resilience in their life. All right, let's bring on Kat. How are you? Great to see
Hi,
you.
I am doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. Wow, you have an amazing bio. I was just like, so much history and so much growth. And since, wow. And I'm, when I, full disclosure to everyone, I've been the student in Kat's physical studio once upon a time before COVID-19 when we had these like actual buildings that we used to walk into, if anyone remembers those
Great.
days.
In the flesh.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I'm really grateful that we're here. And I want to remind everyone that we are live streaming right now, which is an awesome possibility for you to ask any questions you might have of Kat. If you know Kat, of course, you can share this, you can comment below. And what's fun is you can just comment with your favorite emoji. That would be great. Oh, we already have a comment coming in. Oh, all right. We have Deedon. How are you? Okay, so let's kick it off because, as I mentioned just a moment ago, COVID 19. My first question is, what is your perspective on the state of the world right now with COVID 19? Like, what challenges have you had?
Um, Initially, although I was very aware of like the reality of the situation and what was going on, my boyfriend's actually really into, not I don't want to say he's into pandemics, but he's been studying them for a while. So when the first cases came up, he was really seriously like, okay, this is going to shut things down. This is going to be a big deal. And so even weeks or even a month before everything did shut down, I had that in my head and I wasn't really sure if it would actually happen. But I initially I was excited because it was like a pause that we all got together. Like if I needed a break, it wasn't just like me taking a break and everyone else would go on without me. We're all taking a break together. And I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
So immediately I wanted to support my students. So I got on online, or I got my online classes going, on demand classes so that people can take them whenever because the studios were closing. And aside from that, a couple weeks in, I have to say now it's been a month, almost actually to the day since the studios where I teach closed their doors. And I've just in the last week or so been feeling a little bit more panic. So it's kind of happening backwards for
Oh,
me. I was
yeah.
excited and now I'm like, oh, this is a long time. And this is, I miss my students in person. I miss having freedom to do, the normal things that we do that we took for granted before. But overall, I'm looking at it as an opportunity to change the way we do things, an opportunity to kind of really look at what's important in our life and to upgrade and realign with who we really are.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. That's actually a word that's been coming up for Himalayan and myself in our home is this upgrade, and even words like pivot or shift or you know recognize that
Yeah.
through challenges there's opportunity. And that's one of the admirable things that I love about what you've created is this whole online live streaming platform where you recognize there was people that were missing your classes. And as you said, the professor, where's she at?
I had a couple of students actually text me, call me. They're like, "What do I do with my yoga practice now? What's going to happen? Where am I going to get? How do I practice
Yeah.
with you?" So I was like, "Don't worry, I've got it under control. It's coming." Luckily, I actually already had a bunch of classes pre-recorded from a different platform that I was on. I just brought those onto a new platform, and then I started recording new classes immediately. So I had some experience with that. Luckily, I was pretty blessed to sort of already have that set up and be familiar with that. So
Yeah,
some teachers are
wonderful.
struggling with that.
Yeah, I feel like that's an intuitive opportunity for a lot of us is to recognize, like, I mean, was a Boy Scout back in the day. So for me, it's like, be prepared. You don't know.
Mm,
And I mean, talking about yoga studios, I even have heard several owners and managers, which is pretty much like half the contacts in my phone are like part of the global yoga community. And I have a few really good friends that have been like, we're going to stay online, even when we go
yeah,
back into physical studios, because if what's the old saying, if you put all your eggs in one basket, right? So I
yeah,
recognize there's going to be this hybrid opportunity for people to say, guess what? Like when you're live streaming, you can have people from any state, any country, any place, as long as you
yeah,
have internet connection. Now you get to spread your light in the world. And
exactly.
real quickly, like I know that we collaborate, we do our Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Which like different states of where people are
Oh,
living have been on your classes? I don't know if you've
we've
calculated
had,
that. Or,
we've had Florida, Idaho, Maryland. We've had people in the UK,
wow, that's
so
cool.
outside of the US. Yeah, it was
Cheerio.
very exciting. Yeah, no, it's been quite a number. I know I have a friend back in Italy. She wanted to join, but 2 p.m. is like her 10 p.m. or something. So she's like, "Yeah, can you do a 9 a.m.?" And but yeah, we had quite a few people join from many different places outside of San Diego. It's really amazing, and it's really amazing to just have that extra bit of reach to teach further than just beyond just our own local area.
Mm. Yeah, and I know that you feel this, and a lot of us out there, many people that might be watching this right now or on the archive, maybe they've never practiced yoga or they don't know about the asana practice. They don't even maybe know about the 8 branches or what, the whole
Yeah,
limbs of yoga and what it's all about and the himsa and all of that. And really what I've realized is during these times where we feel so constricted or we feel, pressurized, there's something about yogis where they say like be the light, right? So lighten your load, like take deep breaths. And that's really what we get an opportunity to have. And I'm so grateful that you get to shine your light all the way to the UK and Florida and anywhere out there. And this is what's awesome. Like this show right now, streaming on Facebook, Twitter, as well as
yeah,
YouTube. And you never know who you're going to reach. Like this is a global game. And in the past, and this is why I was saying about a hybrid, like besides being in walls where you maybe can fit 20, 25 mats, you can continue that business model, which
for
I
sure.
can't wait to dive into in a little bit. But let's talk about how it all started. So tell us about your personal journey with yoga and why is it
Wow.
important to you?
Okay. Um, so I came into yoga from two different directions, and well, maybe three. So growing up, my parents got divorced when I was young, and my mom ended up using yoga to get through the divorce herself. And so I would kind of sit down with her and do some of the VHS videos with her. And at that time, like she also had a book on it, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of weird, but I don't know, like I'll try it out. And I just remember looking at like the pictures in the books, going like, how am I supposed to just get into that pose? I didn't understand that it was a practice. It just seemed like a thing that you just do and then, like check box and you're done. So that was my first exposure. And then I always sort of felt like I should come back to it. Like it would be good for me for circulation in my body or flexibility and things like that. I didn't really get into my practice until college. When I first, early college, like around 19 or so, I took a couple classes in a studio, and then I started taking classes at the rec center at my college, which were free. And your yoga, as a college student, you know, you tend to be a little bit more on the broke side. So I took advantage of free classes. And I remember it was just a struggle. It was, I remember hating boat pose. Like there's like specific poses that I'm just like, oh, I hated them so much. But
your abs are like, stop.
yeah, I'm like, why are we doing this? Or, you know, you'd like first few minutes into the class, or I had like a teacher that she had a really heavy accent, and she would always say, yoga is a journey, not a destination. And I thought it was the cheesiest thing ever, but it's true. You know, it's cliche, but I'm like, yeah, it is. I say those things now. So at that time, when I was taking those classes, I was just trying to find some peace. I never came to it from like a physical perspective of like, I want to be strong and I want to like do cool things with my body. It was just, I was actually battling major depression in those days. And I felt that every time I went through Shavasana, I felt a little more peace at the end, and it kind of kept that darkness away. So that's really what had me coming back, is the mental health healing of it. And then it sort of intertwined with, I had a hobby getting into tribal fusion belly dance, actually.
Oh, that's fun.
I know Himalayas, she's got some fingers in that area too. But so a lot of the dancers would use yoga for their warm up, and I knew that like, okay, yoga helps you kind of isolate muscles and like understand your body better. So I wanted to really get into it for that reason. And then eventually I just sort of like yoga took over. It was more interesting to me, although I still love dancing, but it's been the only thing that has kept my attention now about 15 years of practice. And I don't get bored with it. There's so many aspects to it, so many reasons. And then there was a point, a couple years, like maybe 4 years into my practice, when I was like, okay, I want to be really strong. I want to be able to do these cool things. And then it became more physical at that point. But from the beginning, it was always a mental healing that really brought me in and kept me there. And then the rest just, you know, different paths that you can explore within it. So I kept on going.
That's amazing. And then, you know, this perfect lead into my next question. So what inspired you to teach?
I mean, basically all the goodness that it gave me, and the gifts of yoga, I had to share it with other people. I couldn't keep it for myself. I just felt really compelled. And actually, even a few years into my practice, before I got really, really serious about it, I was already like, it'd be really cool to teach one day. I would love to share this with other people. And I thought about doing a yoga teacher training. They were all just too expensive at the time. And then when I started practicing at the studio where my teachers that I trained with teach and own, they started with the new studio. They had their first cohort of students for teacher training. And I was thinking about it because it was a lot cheaper being their first round. And I thought, okay, it's going to be like a really good deal. Like, you know, I should jump in on this. But I didn't say anything. And then my teacher actually came up to me and she said, hey, I put your name on the list for being interested in teacher training. Like, are you interested? She just like, you know, put me on there. I'm like, yeah, how did you know I was interested? So I got really encouraged by that, okay, she saw me as like a candidate to teach because I've been really dedicated to my practice. At that point, I was like really like 3 or 4 times a week going, and these are 90-minute classes that I was taking 3 or 4 times a week. And for a whole year, like consistently really into it. So yeah, that's ended up, I was like, okay, then I'm teaching, you know, I'm going to get into it. And we had about 12 of us in that group. And out of that 12, I think only me and one other person really knew that they wanted to teach right away. I was already on that path of like, okay, this is where I'm going to go next. And yeah, it was just, it sort of seamlessly just moved through. And I was the first in that group to start teaching right after I graduated. they sort of tricked me into an audition because I think otherwise I would have been really nervous. They told me, hey, you could do a tax write-off for your teacher training if you do a class before the end of the year. And I said, okay. And then I invited all my friends, and then the class, I like totally rocked it. And they were like, okay, you want to start teaching here like January? I'm like, yeah. So that's how it all went down. And I'm so grateful. Like, teaching is essentially therapy for me in a lot of ways. Like, there's definitely a balance of too much teaching, I discovered, but when I teach just the right amount, it fills my cup up just as much as it hopefully fills the cup of my students. So I've really missed it. And with these Zoom classes that we're doing live on Mondays, and I've added another one for my subscribers on Wednesday mornings, but they're helping me like feel alive again. I forgot how much that fills me up to teach, and it's so good to give that to people.
Yeah, and speaking about Mondays,
Yeah.
hey, so we are offering a live stream yoga experience, and that's
So
at
good.
2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So set your calendar, and of course, you can go to your website and you can book that and see about your membership program that you offer. And I'll put your information on the screen
Yes.
right now for anyone that is like, oh, wait, you're live streaming? I want to jump on that right now. So I want to give everyone the
So good.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And so with our collaboration, perfect segue into the next question. So how do you integrate music?
Mm. I've always loved music. I'm not a musician, but I definitely enjoy I enjoy the emotions that can bring you through with music. Um, and in a class, the playlist, I'm very into like putting my playlist together when it's just me and not you providing it for me, which thank you very much. I love having that headspace like handled for me. It's so nice on the
Yeah, I let you focus on the cues and like
yeah,
holding the container, and it's like I'm
yeah,
doing the
yeah.
soundtrack.
But I mean, the music is, I think, huge. If you have the wrong music, it can really throw people off. It can take people deeper into the practice. It can, foster whether you want something like more playful or more introspective, and just like the overall vibe is very affected by the music that you choose. So that's usually whatever feeling I'm trying to evoke in my students or through the practice. That is how I choose my music based on that, and I am really mindful of making sure it's something that's uplifting and kind of creates the message that I'm trying to send. So yeah, I
I
rely
love it.
on that heavily. I have taught, without music before, and I practice sometimes without music in a more, I guess, traditional way, and I enjoy that too. But I think music just adds another level of magic.
Yeah, well said. I appreciate how you support and honor, my music on your playlist, and then we get to collaborate
Yeah,
together. And so, when are you offering these online classes? I know a lot of people are all cooped up inside, and we get to have like our living rooms now, the studio,
yeah.
or a bedroom, or maybe your patio. So, what are your offerings right now?
So I have on-demand classes on my. You can go to my website, and it's basically through a platform. Yeah, my Ben Stronger platform. I'm calling it Ben Stronger Space, and um, it's just a way. Like, if you don't have time to set up a schedule, or you have got little ones at home and you only have time for a short practice, or basically this creates flexibility. So anywhere from 10 to an hour, 10 minutes to an hour classes, and they're all breath to movement vinyasa flow, and they're on demand. So you just you sign up. It's a monthly subscription. And you get depending on the course that you sign up for. I have two different ones, and you can bundle them together too. One is vinyasa flow, so all different levels, styles of vinyasa flow, but it's more active. And those are 12 classes a month that you get, and I change them every month. So there's new classes every month, and you can even download them so you save some of them if you have any favorites. And
Wonderful.
then the other one is just a deep stretch course, which is just active stretching. It's a lot more gentle, better for people who just, want to kind of maintain mobility, or they're, not into like a super active kind of practice and they need something a little sweeter. And that's
Excellent.
my daily deep stretch course. And then the two together is the bounce movement bundle. So again, those are all on demand. And I've noticed that students, at least with that, like they really actually prefer the shorter ones, even though like the longer class sounds nice, but when you're at home, it's a little different.
Yeah, especially
And
if you have kids or looking
yeah,
after people. And yeah, it's interesting how time is just like time and space has been
Oh, it changes.
warped or it's
Yeah,
like bending. Well,
totally new.
that's amazing. And again, like I want to share that we are
Yeah,
offering
and then the Monday.
Mondays at 2 p.m. and this
Yeah,
is a live streaming music experience. And
interactive.
yeah, I love it. It's just so
Everyone's
great. And we have
inclusive.
about 35 people in there, and
Yeah,
it's such a
yeah,
great way for us to like bridge that gap of like feeling like you're connected with community in the studio. And that's a huge, benefit
yeah,
that a lot of us experience is feeling that connection. So, yeah, do you have
yeah.
any final words to say?
No, I'm just so grateful for all the connections and the shift that this has created has been opening up a lot of different things. And I'm just glad that I can still continue to serve people, my students, and I'm glad to collaborate with you. I'm so grateful for you on those Monday classes. They've been awesome. And
Yeah.
grateful for this interview and getting a chance to chat with you and say hi to everyone else tuning in. So yeah, you guys can also you have my Instagram handle right there. I'm on Instagram too, Kat Valadez Yoga, and or my website. You can check out my other offerings. I've got retreats I do, workshops and things like that. Of course, the live in person stuff will be on hold for a while.
Yes.
Um, but in the meantime, these online classes are giving me life and hopefully giving other people life too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everyone out there, have a follow. Here's Kat's Instagram. Very inspirational. Wow. So many amazing postures. And yeah, I really appreciate you, going for it. As you said, even if it originally was for a tax write off, here you are. That's a great story, by the
Yeah,
way. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here, your presence. I want to acknowledge you for, being a super mom and just
thank
moving
you.
forward and being an entrepreneur, as Himalaya would say, a spiritualpreneur,
I
and like
like that. I
following
like that.
spirit and moving into the shift and really being of service and generosity to people. It's a really amazing offer that you're able to bring people into that sacred space of being on
Yes.
their mats and being, the journey within, and then also to feel the energy when we're on our Zoom calls with everyone that's connected. So everyone out there,
Yeah, for sure.
please write down any comments, even if you're not watching on the live stream. Kat will answer, and
Mhm.
so you can go to her website, go to her Instagram, and we really appreciate you being here. And if anyone wants to follow my music, it's DTO
Yes.
Music, dtomusic.com. So many blessings to you,
Thank
Kat,
you.
and thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your
so much.
presence. Yeah,
Namaste.
you're welcome. Namaste.